A very good afternoon to all of you. So good afternoon all, good afternoon Jai Hind. I hope each one of you are doing great. So today in this session, I'm here before you with our next chapter from class 6th NCERT. Okay, so from our class 6th Social and Political Life Part 1, we will be discussing our next chapter, chapter 4, which is the key elements of a democratic government. So previously in our sessions, we had studied the basic foundation of the term government. How does the government works? What all are the expectations from the government? And what effectively is the primary responsibility of the government? Now, in this session, we will be discussing the key elements of the type of government that exists in India is the democratic government. Okay, so we will be discussing all of these things in our session today. So, a very good afternoon to all of you who have joined me now in this session. I welcome each one of you, and I want all of you to please keep participating in this session. Please do share this series with your friends so that they do come to know about this very important series that I have started to build your foundation of Indian polity for your upcoming examinations. Clear? So, very good afternoon to all of you. Now, how do we proceed in this chapter? Now, when we talk about this topic of government, previously we had seen that due to discrimination, okay, due to inequalities, okay, stereotyping, and various other differences that had existed amongst the people of a society, there was a need to ensure proper governance amongst them. Now, governance was brought to the society by the government, and in India, we have the democratic government. Okay. Now, why do we call it the democratic government? Because in India, it is the people who have the power to elect their own representatives. Okay. So, in this session, we will see that what all are the key elements of a democratic government and how effectively a democratic government works, how people participate in a democratic government, and how the democratic government ensures conflict resolution amongst the people. Clear? So, before moving ahead, let me again remind you about another very important offering to all of you from StudyIQ IAS. That is the next batch, the next GS Foundation batch in complete English language is starting on 7th of July. All of our GS Foundation batches in the P2I batch series is available strictly based upon our smart model of preparation. Okay. Moreover, you can also use this code SRM Live to avail maximum discount and the best prices for your StudyIQ IAS courses. Okay. Along with this, you can get all the annotated PDFs of my session on my Telegram channel, Sharad Mudgal _StudyIQ. You just need to scan this QR code and it will directly lead you to my Telegram channel wherein you can access and you can also download the previously provided PDFs. Okay. Now, starting off with this session, what all are the key elements of the government? Now, in this fourth chapter, we will be discussing the key elements of a democratic government by a very exclusive example of how apartheid had flourished in South Africa. Now, we will understand the working of a democratic government by this case study wherein extreme inequality was imposed upon the people, and then how effectively the leaders like Nelson Mandela, he worked and he ensured that the system is removed. Okay. Then we will be discussing the three major elements of the democratic government, that is participation, Herein we'll see what all are the different types of participation that can be undertaken, followed by conflict resolution. What all are the different types of conflict between the people, conflict between the components of the government, and lastly we'll see how equality and justice are ensured to the individuals by the Indian Constitution. Clear? So this is how we'll be covering this chapter. Now when we move ahead with this chapter, okay, we need to understand the working of a democratic government. Okay, as it has been rightly said in the Indian context that the government in India is for the people, by the people, and of the people. Clear? So it essentially means that it is the people who have this say. Okay, it is the people who have the right to elect representatives for themselves. Okay. Now tell me one thing. Okay, this is this is the additional information that I'm conveying to you so that you also are able to correlate these principles of NCERT with the principles of Indian polity and governance. Okay. Now, when we talk about the democratic government, okay, essentially there are two types of democratic government. Okay, we have democratic governments which we can call direct democracy, and the second type is indirect democracy. Clear? Now, in direct democracy, it is essentially the people who have all of the powers which are concentrated into them. Okay. Now, you might be thinking that what is this direct democracy? Okay. And do we have a similar democratic principle in India, or do we have some other type in India? Clear? So, democracy is essentially of two types: direct and indirect democracy. Now, in the direct democracy, the people have the power to exercise their supreme power directly. Example, as this direct democracy, it exists in countries like Switzerland. Clear? So, in Switzerland, we have the direct democracy, okay, wherein the people are exercising their supreme power directly. Now, in country like India, we have indirect democracy. Okay. Now, what does indirect democracy means? Indirect democracy means that it is the people who are electing their representatives. Okay. And those elected representatives have to work on behalf of the people of India. Clear? It is not the people of India who are directly doing everything for ourselves. Okay. The representatives are elected by the people. Okay. And then they would exercise the supreme power. They would make the laws. They would ensure that the country is governed in a organized manner. Clear? Now, this indirect democracy, we often call it the representative democracy. Clear? The representative democracy, wherein the representatives are elected. Now, this representative democracy is also of two types, okay, wherein it is parliamentary democracy, as we have in India, okay, and the presidential form. Presidential form of democracy as it is exhibited in country like the United States. Clear? Okay. So this is how the structures of the government is further categorized. Okay. Now, what all responsibilities are to be undertaken by this democratic environment. Okay, and how essentially these democratic principles must work. Clear? Because these democratic principles, okay, what do they convey? Okay, basically, you must understand that this term democracy in very clear terms means that everyone has the right to express himself or herself. Clear? Everyone has the right to convey the wishes. Everyone has the right to agree. Everyone has the right to disagree. Clear? So, this is what a democratic environment conveys. Now, democratic environment includes three key elements. Clear? It includes three key elements, means the democratic government can only work when there is the involvement of people, which is the people's participation. Clear? The people's participation. Now, it includes the involvement of citizens in the decision making processes. Okay. Now, how do they contribute? Okay. There are ways in which people participate directly. Okay. The people are participating directly, like they are participating in voting. Okay. Now, this is a way wherein people are participating by agreeing to the norms. Okay. There are different ways also. People are disagreeing, or people show their dissent. Now, when people are showing their dissent, they are protesting. The people are conducting strikes, okay, hartals, okay, candlelight marches, campaigns are being carried out, okay. So these all are the ways, okay. We have got people doing public meetings. Thick. So this is how the key elements of a democratic government works. Clear? First and foremost, it is the people's participation. Unless and until people are participating, then without them, there is no value that can be attributed to the government. Okay? If you do not have the common citizens, okay, or the beneficiaries, then the government does not have anyone whom they can govern. Okay. Next comes the other part, which is the conflict resolution. Okay. Now, what types of conflict resolution are demanded? Now, in a country like India that is full of diversities, that is full of differences, okay, there are stereotyping taking place. Okay. In that condition, the conflicts are bound to arise. But the conflict resolution has to be peaceful and fair, because there will be disagreements in a diverse society, and those disagreements must be resolved amicably. Clear? Third and the most important activity that comes out is the equality and justice. Equality and justice. So all these citizens must be treated as equals. Okay, and the government must ensure that fair treatment and justice is meted out to them. Clear? So these are the principles, essential principles of functioning of a democratic government. Okay, and in the end of the session, we will also be discussing how these topics, how these essential elements are asked in UPSC. Clear? So, as you can see in the mains UPSC GS2, the governance questions are by and large framed around these principles. Understood? Clear? Chali. Now, moving ahead, let us understand all of these principles, the entire context. Okay. we will be understanding this entire context with a short story. Okay, we will understand this entire context with how things were undertaken in South Africa. Clear? Now, South Africa, which was a country of several races, okay, the native South Africans were black people who belonged to South Africa. Then there were people who had come to South Africa and they had settled, mainly the whites. Okay. Then there were Indians also who were taken to South Africa as laborers and traders. Okay. So at that moment of time, we will start off with a very short story. Okay. There was an 11-year-old girl named Maya Naidu. Now, she was a 11-year-old girl living in the town of Johannesburg. Okay. And one day, while she was helping her mother, okay, she was helping her mother clear her old almiras, she came across a scrapbook. Okay. On that scrapbook, there were various news articles, okay, pictures, they were all pasted on that scrapbook. Okay. Now, in that scrapbook, she came across picture of a young 15-year-old boy. Now, this drew curiosity in her mind and she asked her mother who that boy was. Her mother told her that his name was Hector Peterson. Now, why he was in news was the next curiosity that came into her mind. Now, her mother told her that this 15-year-old boy was shot dead by police. Now, this was something that was very surprising to her. She asked her why. Okay. And then her mother explained the incident to her and she told her that earlier in South Africa was governed by apartheid laws. Okay, South Africa was governed by apartheid laws. Now, what does apartheid means? It essentially means, in a very clear terms, it means governance on the basis of races. Okay, and if I have to explain this in a very layman term, it means that people are governed, the society was governed on the basis of color of skin of the people. Okay, so South Africa was essentially, the entire South African society was essentially divided into whites, the native blacks, okay, and other colored people, basically the immigrants, the Indian laborers who were brought in there to work in the sugar plantation fields. Clear? So one was the blacks, second whites, and the other colored races. Now, according to the laws of South Africa, the people of these races were not allowed to mingle with each other. Okay, they were not allowed to live near each other. For every society, areas were designated. For every community, the areas were designated. Okay. Moreover, the public facilities which were also available were not uniformly available to all. Okay. The resources were unequally distributed amongst them. Okay. And that was how these communities were coexisting. Now, this was something that was surprising to a girl who was listening to this story in 21st century. Now, the girl, Maya Naidu, she could not believe that what her mother told was exactly happening in the society. Okay. Now, it was during those times her mother angrily told her that this was essentially the basis of apartheid that was done. Okay. It was not just the facilities, not just the areas, even the basic humanitarian facilities were made available only upon the basis of races. Okay, even the hospitals were different. Okay, now hospital again is a better thing, even the ambulances were different. The hospital or an ambulance which was meant for white people would always be very well maintained, would always be having all sorts of equipments, all sorts of facilities. Okay, and the one that was meant for the blacks and the other colored races were neither equipped nor they were nicely maintained. Clear? All of us as an Indian, we have heard of the story of Gandhiji, okay, wherein Gandhiji, even while he was traveling in South Africa, he had the first class ticket, but still he was not allowed to board the compartment only because he was not a he did not belong to the white race. Okay. Similarly, at that moment of time, there were separate trains, there were separate buses. Okay. Even the bus stops were different for blacks as well as for whites. Okay. And during that moment of time, it was only the white who were considered superior, who were considered the elites, and they were the ones who only had the voting rights. So what does this effectively means? That the whites, okay, were making laws for the before making laws, the whites were first and foremost discriminating. They were the ones who had the power to make laws, and they were the ones who constituted the government because they were the ones who were only allowed to vote. Clear? Now, the whites had ensured that the best in class resources were concentrated only for the white community. Okay, the best, most fertile lands were reserved for the whites. Okay, non whites had to live on poor lands, okay, poor quality of lands, and even the non-whites had to survive upon those worst quality of lands. Okay, so it was during those times that the blacks and the colored people were not even treated equal to whites, and they were not even provided with basic humanitarian rights. Clear? At that moment of time, what had happened that there was a South African town. Okay, there was a town in South Africa by the name Soweto. Okay, that Soweto town. Okay, it was the town which was majorly for blacks. Okay, the black community was categorized to live in that area. Okay, now this boy Hector Peterson was living in that area. Okay. Now the whites had made a law that the all of these communities had to study the African language. Okay. Now at that moment of time, all of us have known that the basic education was being provided across the world in the vernacular languages. But the whites made a law for all the people that all people, including those blacks, had to study in the African language in the schools. Now, this was the language that the whites spoke. So, majorly, what was the mindset? They were creating workforce for themselves. Okay. Now, this child, Hector Peterson, and other school students, they were also forced to learn this African language. But all of them had wanted to learn everything in their own vernacular Zulu language. Okay. Now they were the ones, since it was imposed upon them to understand things in the African language, they started protesting. Now, at that moment of time, when the protest was uh, gradually increasing against the government, the police started to beat them up. The police launched a lathi charge upon them, and in order to pacify the crowds, the police also started shooting mercilessly. Okay, the protesters were mercilessly being beaten. Okay, and police also started shooting at the crowd. Clear? It was at that moment of time that a bullet killed this 15-year-old boy, Hector Peterson. Now, this was something that did not happen in somewhere around 15th, 16th, 17th century. This story is of year 1976. Okay, it was later that the African National Congress, a primary organization, was led by Nelson Mandela, who led the struggle against apartheid. Okay, Nelson Mandela finally he kept fighting against this discriminatory system. Okay, and finally the system of apartheid was removed by 1994. Okay, so they led their protest campaigns for long, and finally they were successful in 1994. South Africa became a democratic country when, and it was then after 1994 that all the races were considered equally. So you can consider that for these basic humanitarian things, people have to fight, and people had to give up upon their lives to achieve these basic things for themselves. Clear? So when we start off with this was an example how the discrimination leads to poor governance. Okay, even though the society or the government can be called so-called a democratic society, but still rights were not made available to all. So, when we start off with this, we can understand that why democracy is important and how democratic principles can be implemented in the society. Clear? Now, previously we had studied about the democratic principles, and here comes the first important democratic element of participation. Now, in India, why am I taking an example of India? Because this is how you can correlate things with yourself. India is a country that is throughout the year in an election mode. Okay, you would have recently read about the demand of one nation, one election. Now, that is somewhat making sense because a country like India is always in an election mode, always in a mood of appeasement. Clear? So while we were going through the previous topics, we had seen that how the governments are formed and how democracy is established in the country. So through voting in India, the people, the citizens, okay, or the voters, they elect their representatives. Okay, and these representatives later on take a decision for themselves. Okay, now when voting is carried out, okay, the representatives are elected representatives are elected. It is then it is assumed that if you have elected a representative for yourself, your representatives will fulfill what all are your aspirations, what all are your expectations. Okay, and this is the reason, this is the best part, that if you feel that representatives are not fulfilling your aspirations, your expectations, okay, the laws are being made which are ignoring the rights of the people, then any time in the next election you can remove them. Okay, this is the reason why the governments in India are elected for a duration of 5 years. Understood? Okay, the governments are elected for a duration of 5 years. If the government, if the leader, if the representative has to remain in power, that representative has to work as per the electors who have voted for him. Okay, otherwise, if he does not work, the people who have the ultimate power in their hands, they will exercise that supreme power and will remove them. Clear? So this is a moment wherein we can see that people have the power in democracy. Okay, and in this way people are exercising their power of government and choosing their representatives through regular elections. But if people think that they do not have, okay, or if the people think that they have uh, elected a leader, the leader would remain in power for 5 years, okay, but the leader is not working, okay, then there are also other ways wherein people can participate. Okay, elections are being conducted once every 5 years. Okay, so besides voting, also people have the right to ensure accountability of the people whom they have voted for. Okay, so people are participating in elections. Besides this, if they feel within the duration of 5 years that their ambitions, their aspirations, their demands are not being fulfilled, Okay, people can anytime take up an interest and start criticizing the government. Okay, so the people have the right to criticize the government. Presently, we can see that a constructive criticism is going on. Okay, people across the country, you can see these days people across the country are angry against how there have been paper leaks taking place. Clear? And this is the reason people across the country have been protesting to fix the accountability of the government. They want the government to make sure that the culprits are punished, okay, and the culprits, and it is ensured that this is something that should not be repeated. Clear? So through this, the people are now criticizing the government, they are criticizing the representatives that they have chosen, and now they want to make this governance more efficient. Clear? In the previous times, previous regimes also, we have seen that previously people have participated in various protests. Okay, there was a time in 2005 when the prices of electricity were increased. Okay, and it was a very sharp increase that had affected the people too much. Okay, people had came out on roads, people had rallied, people had conducted signature campaigns against the government, and government had to finally listen to the people, and government had to roll back that prices. We have previously seen how farm laws were brought in. Okay, people had protested for years. Okay, and then those farm laws have been rolled back. Clear? So this is how, these are the ways in which people express their views, and they make government understand that their actions, okay, should be taken up seriously. Okay, the people can undertake dharnas, people can undertake rallies, strikes, signature campaigns, and all sorts of things to ensure that their demands are not ignored. Clear? Now, this essentially, through these activities, the people are making sure that there has to be, everything in the country has to be fair and has to be just. Clear? Now people do express themselves. Now we have seen that people have the right of speech and expression. People can express themselves through these protests, people can express themselves through the newspapers, through the magazines, through the television, and now people can also make use of social media to raise their voices against the government. Clear? So by and large, we can understand that a democracy, if the environment would not have been democratic in the country, people would not have been able to raise their voices. Clear? So this is a key element of a democratic government that allows the people to participate, not only to vote for themselves, but also to disagree against what government has been doing. The people are allowed to go against what government has been doing. Clear? So we can understand that it is the situation which is ensuring that healthy democratic environment is established in the country, which will in turn ensure efficiency in the governance. Clear? But there have also been principles, okay, wherein we have seen that all sections of the society, all sections of the people have not been able to raise their voices. Clear? So there have been social movements, there have been various activities wherein the people belonging to minorities, minority communities, people belonging to the depressed classes, okay, people belonging to any community which has smaller numbers, okay, they have not been able to participate like others have been doing. Okay, so we can understand one thing, that if a country's people are alert, okay, and they are interested in ensuring better governance for themselves, okay, if they are interested in the procedure how the country is run, okay, if they are interested in the manner how the democratic environment is created, okay, then it is the only way that will ensure that the government runs strongly. Clear? So we have to be proactive in these activities. Okay, we have to be proactive, we have to ensure that if such measures are being taken up to fix accountability of the government as a responsible citizen, it is our duty to contribute to them. Okay, we must know why are they doing so. We must make sure that if this is for a justified cause, then we must be part of it. Clear? Now, along with participation, the next thing is conflict resolution. Okay. Now, in this conflict resolution, we have seen that by the story of apartheid that we had studied, okay, how Maya had been inquisitive about the system, about the governance, and how her mother explained to her. Okay, we have seen that in that example of Hector Peterson, okay, there are situations wherein the protest can go out of hand. Okay, people can resort to violence. Okay, the administration may resort to violent acts. Okay, so what our aim has to be, that conflict resolution has to be fair and it has to be peaceful. Clear? So conflict resolution has to be fair and it has to be peaceful. Clear? Now, whenever such activities are carried out, okay, people may use violent means to settle their differences also. Okay, we have seen one thing, that why problems occur due to diversified. Okay, why this diversified environment leads to problems? Because people are more aligned with people of their culture, people are more aligned with the people of their religion, region, or of their own economic background. So when diversity is diverse, people of diversified backgrounds are coexisting, okay, then they do not get along with each other, and this is the reason that finally leads to the creation of conflicts. Okay, now if these conflicts are not resolved peacefully, then it may lead to fear and tension in the society itself. Okay, and then it becomes the responsibility of the government to resolve all of these conflicts in a peaceful manner. Clear? So there are various types of conflicts that are existing in the society. Okay, previously we have seen that there are conflicts upon the people due to diversity. Okay, and there are also conflicts which are occurring due to any natural cause or a natural phenomena. We, every time we come across news wherein we have seen that some religious procession or celebration was taking place. Okay, uh, the religious procession was taking out. Okay, now one community was leading the religious procession, the other community was not happy why this religious procession is being taken forward from their area. Clear? There have been news that people of different community have resorted to throwing stones, pelting stones over them. Okay, and this is something that had led to communal violence, communal conflicts have taken place, and at times those conflicts have become too violent. Clear? Now it is at this situation that the responsibility, it is the responsibility of the police, okay, to ensure that violence does not take place. Clear? So we have seen that there have been conflicts due to religious, cultural, and various other reasons. Okay, so this is just an example. Secondly, on the other hand, we have also seen that there have been conflicts due to their claim over the resources. Okay, we have seen that people of Karnataka and people of Tamil Nadu have had very violent clashes, conflicts amongst themselves due to distribution of water. Okay, so we have seen that in a country like India, okay, there may be a situation wherein a river may originate from one state, okay, and the river may end in the other state or states. Clear? So sharing of river water, okay, between different states have always been a point of conflict between the people as well as between the governments. Clear? For example, we have seen the dispute of Kaveri river water. Clear? Now, there has been this long-standing dispute around Kaveri river water distribution between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Now, the Kaveri river water is stored in the Krishnaraj Sagar Dam in Karnataka, which is used for irrigating various districts in and around the region of Bengaluru. Okay, in and around this dam is fulfilling the demands of the capital city of Bengaluru. Clear? Moreover, on the other hand, the water is also being stored in the Mettur Dam. Okay, the water is also being stored in the Mettur Dam in Tamil Nadu, which is used for crops grown in the delta region of the state. Now, this conflict has been long standing amongst these dams because both the dams are being built on the same river. Okay, now the dam in Tamil Nadu is downstream dam. Okay, this downstream dam in Tamil Nadu can only be filled if the water is released from the upstream dam that is existing in Karnataka. Okay, so both these states cannot get as much water as they need for people of their states, and this is something that has led to conflict. The central government has to step in and has to ensure that fair distribution is worked out amongst both of these states. We have previously seen Kaveri river water dispute tribunal had been formed, and even after tribunal had ordered things there, the conflict had further continued. Clear? Now, the last thing that comes amongst them is the concept of equality and justice. So, the third element after participation, conflict resolution is equality and justice. Now, equality and justice is again a key element of democratic government. Okay, and democratic government must ensure that equality and justice are provided to its people. Okay. Moreover, these two things, equality and justice, these are inseparable. Okay. How does it work? We will take an example. Even though in the previous sessions we had talked about the story of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Clear? How he had to face various forms of untouchability. Okay, while he was traveling, even though he was a very learned man, because he belonged to a specific caste, thus he had to face discrimination. Clear? So we have seen this example in the previous topic, that how the practice of untouchability that has now been banned by law in India. Okay, how different groups of people had been denied education, transport, or medical facilities, and even the chance to enter temples. Okay, about Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, we have seen. Okay, so all such practices, okay, have now been banned, and they have been banned to ensure complete justice to the people. Okay, when justice is meted out to the people, then only the equality can prevail in the society. Clear? Now, government, it becomes an essential responsibility of a democratic government. Now, democratic government means wherein all voices are heard. Okay, so government has to recognize all of these things. Government shall have to make provisions for the groups of society which are unequal. Okay, which have been depressed. Okay, so as we have seen various example. Okay, they still in this society, okay, people have this general tendency, okay, and liking towards a boy child. Okay, so I'm not talking about the liberated educated society, I'm talking about the uneducated society, or wherein the people are still believing the orthodox practices. Okay, they still have the liking towards or preferences of a boy child. Clear? So they still, there have been situations that due to the gender, okay, the society does not value a girl child and boy child equally, and this is something which is unjust. Okay, so in this context also, the government shall have to take up more actions. Government shall have to proactively promote justice. Okay, there have to be special provisions. Moreover, our constitution, in order to ensure equality and justice to all, irrespective of religion, race, caste, gender, place of birth, constitution has provided provisions. Okay, the constitution ensures that enabling clauses are also given so that the government can come up with specific provisions for the development of the sections that are not being treated as equals. Clear? Chaliye. So we have seen such various examples. You might have also seen that while filling up the UPSC form, okay, the fee waiver is given to girls, fee waiver is given to depressed classes. So all such measures are being taken up to ensure that equality and justice prevails in the society. Clear? Chaliye. So this is ultimately the gist of this session, okay, of this chapter 4, okay, the key elements of a democratic government. Okay, now when we move ahead, how this topic can be correlated with the practices, or how this entire unit, okay, so from this chapter 3 and chapter 4 there have been questions, okay, in UPSC prelims as well as in mains from 2010 to 2024. So last 15-year analysis also, I'm bringing out this analysis. So in the prelims 2021, okay, we had questions around consider the statements on Indian democracy. Okay, 2019 we had this question around the Election Commission of India and how the working was carried forward. Prelims 2022 we had, and then direct questions in the mains 2021. The participation of marginalized communities in India's political process remains limited despite constitutional protections. Clear? So as I've told you this thing in starting that I'll be taking up this entire NCERT series while making references that how it will be useful for you in your prelims as well as your mains exam in your complete examination preference. So I have preparation. I have shared a complete set of direct questions that can be correlated to this unit. Okay, along with this, okay, there are some key elements in the end that I have also I have also finally processed them in the tabular form so that you can understand and you can make references to how these provisions have been added into the constitution. Clear? Chaliye. So this is essentially all from my side today. I hope all of you would have understood these things. Okay, please do let me know in the comment section how do you like these sessions. Okay, are these sessions useful for you or not? Okay, so in I am making all efforts to ensure that you are able to understand the entire NCERT topic. Okay, with examples and how they can be useful for you in your preparation. Along with this, and if you want to make your preparation foolproof, just subscribe to our P2I batches, okay, which are based upon the SMART model of preparation. Okay, along with this, let me also remind you that complete English language GS foundation batches are being run by StudyIQ. The next batch will start off on 7th of July. Okay, you can use this code SRM Live to avail maximum discount and best prices for your StudyIQ courses, and the complete PDFs, the annotated PDFs of all of my NCERT sessions as well as all the current affairs videos that I have been posting on StudyIQ IAS English platforms can be accessed through this Telegram channel Sharad Mudgal underscore StudyIQ, or you can just scan this QR code and you can directly access all of those things. Clear? So do let me know how do you like this session, and I'll